Listen up, you wanna know what the worst part about these videos is that we make about the Treasure Valley all the time, about how wonderful this place is? It's because we don't tell you how bad this place is, right? So we're gonna dive into the 6 worst places here in the Southwest Idaho region. Let's go and dive into the worst places that you don't wanna live. If we don't know each other by now, my name is Brian Hymas, been a realtor here in the Boise Valley for the last 5 years, an appraiser before that, and born and raised here. I love all things Boise, and I'm happy to take you on this wonderful ride of all things why this place is so wonderful. In fact, in this video, we change it up a little bit because we're gonna talk about the 6 worst places to live here in the Southwest Idaho region. But before we do that, if you are thinking of moving to the Boise Valley, give me a call, send me a text or an email. There really is no greater compliment that I can receive than those texts or calls or emails that I get. I'd be thrilled to have that conversation with you, put you into our easy buying process. It really is a proven system that puts you and all those fears of moving states, all those fears of missing out on homes, of overpaying for houses, all those go by the side. It makes it a super easy, streamlined process so that you can buy a home and make yourself an Idahoan, essentially, and do that without any fears and any regrets. So that is something that I can do. It's a proven process. I've worked hours and hours on honing that in for you so that you don't waste time and that you can do this with conquering all your fears. Stick with me to the end because you're gonna find out what area is my least favorite place to live in all of Idaho. I did say earlier that this was Southwest Idaho. There is one that comes on that is less desirable, that is outside of this Boise range. Remember, I'm from Boise, so that's Boise, Garden City, Eagle, Meridian, Caldwell, Nampa, Kuna, Middleton, all those. So Star. So when we get to outside of those, like I've been there, I've probably been on every exit between here and Idaho Falls, like quite literally on the freeway. I know the state, but when it comes to knowing the nitty gritty, I really focus on this Treasure Valley. So a lot of those are gonna be in the Treasure Valley here to paint some of the truer aspects of what we don't like to usually talk about in real estate. Starting off with number 6, counting down, we're gonna go to Payette, Idaho. Payette is located north of Fruitland. Fruitland's on that Ontario-Oregon border. So if you live in Fruitland, you end up shopping in Ontario. Same thing will happen with Payette. You'll travel down to go across the border, go to your Walmart and things like that. They've got a few things in Fruitland, but Payette is a little smaller than Fruitland. Payette's livability score is a 68 out of 100. The crime rates in Payette are actually 59% higher than the rest of the state. So that paints something in terms of stats for you as to what those crimes are, how severe, all that type of stuff. You would need to go dive into those records, but just kind of giving you a statistical overview. Payette's about an hour or so away from where I'm at here in the Boise Valley. I'm in Eagle, and so you can take that into consideration. Payette has a total of 167 crime incidents reported in 2021. The population of Payette is only 8,100 people, so it's not that much. The median household income in Payette is around 45 grand. A little bit lower cost of living out there, which is great. There is a lower median income as well, which all's fine there. There's no negative knock on that, just that the cost of living out there is a little lower. There are 5 public schools out there in Payette. All of them receive an F rating. Now let's look at the school system ratings. So do I actually like those? No, I don't. I don't think they're accurate. I don't think they're entirely telling the whole story. But do you need to pay attention to those for your resale value? Absolutely. So that's something to take into consideration. You might chat with the schools. You might ask them why they have a lower rating. A lot of them will tell you because we don't teach the test. For example, in Payette, the average test score is 26% according to the information we're grabbing off the internet, which who knows what the internet says, if it's right or wrong. I mean, that's just what it says. You don't know what's reported. It might be that's why their grades are so low, is because they didn't report something to some website that we looked off of. You never, ever know until you dive into it. But nonetheless, we're trying to paint a picture of all things Idaho for you. So we go off the data that we have. By the way, the unemployment rate in Payette, Idaho is 5%. That's higher than the national and the Idaho average. Number 5, we're gonna go with Idaho's 6th largest city, Pocatello. For those watching, it can be referred to as Pocatello. It can also be referred to as the armpit of Idaho. I know people who have grown up in Pocatello and they would deny those claims. They love the place, so take them as you might, but those are nicknames that have been tossed around. The population in Pocatello is roughly 60,000, is right there. There are 29 public schools, 6 private. The average test score is about 50%, again, according to what the research we're doing and gathering and all we have access to. Student to teacher ratio is 19:1, it's pretty good. Check out Pocatello's median household income at $41,000 and change, and the unemployment rate is at 4.6%. That's 0.1% lower than the national average, and it's higher than Idaho's average. Pocatello has a livability score of 76 out of 100. They're starting to see new growth when you combine it with Chubbuck, which basically runs together as one city. One thing to consider that is real data is the crime rates in Pocatello is at 85% higher than the Idaho average. 85%! Now, you might be wondering why we didn't name this place number 1. Well, good question. Not sure. There were a total of 1,429 incidents reported in 2021. Also, the cost of living in Pocatello, 9% lower than the Idaho average. Again, I know people from Pocatello, they love Pocatello. Those are just the nicknames I've heard, so you got number 5. Number 4 on our list, Nampa, Idaho. Third largest city in Idaho, about 105,000 people live there. Nampa it goes from east to west, it goes Boise, Meridian, Nampa, Caldwell. So right there on the freeway, it's really large. They're experiencing a lot of growth in Nampa. When I say Nampa on this list, I am not referring to the Nampa that I would want to live in. I'm referring to the Nampa I wouldn't want to live in. That's my preference. Why is it my preference? Well, you have to drive there and drive around to figure it out. There is a lot of growth happening in Nampa, but the parts of Nampa that you want to avoid, I think you'll be pretty clear. While at the same time, some of it's just old though, and some of that might just need some revitalization. In appraising school, we learned about how there's different phases of neighborhoods. It's either gonna go to pot or it's gonna go to revitalization. And when it goes to revitalization, that's a great area to pick up some real estate in. A lot of Nampa is going through that. It's going through a good phase right now. While it is number 4 on my list, do take it into consideration. I don't sell a ton in Nampa, I do sell in Nampa. Just simply proximity. A lot of my people are looking for the Eagle, Star, North Meridian area. Those areas do not make this worst places to live in Idaho list. By a long shot, they don't. I mean, those places are awesome. Take into consideration Nampa. Nampa has a livability score of 75 out of 100. The crime rates are 45% higher in Idaho than the Idaho average. There were almost 2,000 crime incidents reported in the year of 2021. The cost of living is right on par with the Idaho average at 2% lower than the Idaho average. Nampa has 26 schools that are public, 5 private, and the student to teacher ratio is 20:1, and the average grade on those schools is a D. Now, again, take that with a grain of salt. Median household income in Nampa is around $41,000. Those numbers are changing. $41,000 is what it was. It's definitely moving up because of inflation, because of people moving from out of state and having a different income. So take those things into consideration. Unemployment rate is at 5%. That's right where Payette's was. Again, that's above Idaho's and the national average. Idaho's is in the 3s and the national average is about 4.7. Number 3 on the list is Caldwell, Idaho. That's located just west of Nampa. Livability score around 76 out of 100. The population of Caldwell is 62,500. The crime rates are a tick higher than Nampa at 53% higher than the Idaho average. There were 1,200 crime incidents reported in the year 2021. The cost of living in Caldwell is 4% lower than the Idaho average. There are plenty of schools to go around in Caldwell. There's a lot of elementaries, there's a couple middle schools and some high schools. Again, when I say Caldwell, there's a lot of good growth going on in Caldwell. There are parts of Caldwell that I personally would stay around where probably more crime is reported, things like that. Again, poverty and things like that. That stuff doesn't exactly bother me. That doesn't tell you who the people are, right? The median household income was around $42,000 a year. And going back to the schools, the average rating on those schools is an F. The average test scores they have is 40%, so it gives those Caldwell schools an F. Again, this is just what they report. You don't really know what you're looking at until you dive in and talk to the school board and talk to the principals and the teachers. So keep that in mind. The student to teacher ratio is 17:1, so that's fantastic. And whoa, the unemployment rate's at 7%. That's a couple points higher than the national average and a few points higher than Idaho's average. That's quite a bit. Caldwell does put you at a further distance from Boise and more things to do as well. Sometimes you have biases just because you have biases. You don't even know what the heck you're saying. So number 2, it takes us to Garden City. There are parts of Garden City that are more industrial. There's a mile or two of stretch of, it seems like, used car lot after used car lot. There's a lot of reasons that really aren't great reasons why I wouldn't live in Garden City, but we're gonna look at the 4.2 square mile region. It's located basically from downtown Boise out to Eagle. There's a strip. It's not a square, it's more like a strip, and it's right by the river. That area is receiving a lot of revitalization right now, so it actually is going to be an awesome area. Just at the time, there is not the greatest vibe there. Again, different vibe for different tribes. That might be your vibe. So You might want to check it out. There's some good areas there. There's some $1 million properties in Garden City as well. It's not like every address in Garden City should be at this #2 spot on the top 6 worst places to live in Idaho. The population in Garden City is about 12,000, and the livability score is a 75 out of 100. Unfortunately, the crime rates are 99% higher than the Idaho average. There were a total of 325 crime incidents reported in 2021. With the average test scores of 47%, that gives the Garden City schools about a D rating. There are a couple charter schools there. Their schools feed into West Ada in the very western tip, and most of them go to the Boise School District. A lot of it's Capitol High, so it's Boise High, I believe. The cost of living in Garden City is 6% higher than the Idaho average. Makes sense because it's really located in some of the prime property, basically Boise. If you don't know Garden City and Boise, and you're from out of town, you will think it's Boise because it's basically surrounded by Boise. The median household income is about $41,000 per household, and the unemployment rate is at 4.1%. So that's actually really good because the national average, again, 4.7, and then the Idaho average about 3.9. So that moves us to our #1 worst place to live in the state of Idaho. Any guesses? Maybe pause the video, put those guesses below, because we are going to go to #1 worst place to live in Idaho. Sorry to offend you all from Mountain Home, but that's it. It sounds like a wonderful place, Mountain Home, right? You can see your pine trees, you can see your log cabin, the smoke coming out of the stack. But no, this place is my worst place to live in Idaho. I probably would never live there. There's an Air Force base out there, which is what attracts a lot of the economy. Is it a terrible place? No, just have my biases, that's it. Mountain Home is located about 40 minutes southwest of Boise. It's on your way out to Twin Falls if you're gonna catch the freeway down to Utah or to eastern Idaho or to Yellowstone. The population is about 15,000 people in 2021. The livability score is given a 73 out of 100. And the crime rates are actually 28% lower than the Idaho average. While it's my #1, remember, this is just Brian's opinion of everything. Your opinion should be formulated on your experiences. This is my opinion, right? This is the best opinion you will receive about Idaho's worst cities out there, so take it as gospel, except for my part that's opinion, which is all of it, so just take it all as gospel though, unless it's not. The cost of living out there in Mountain Home is 1% lower than the Idaho average. There are 9 public schools and 4 that are private. Average test score is 35%. Schools received an F rating out there, so take it with a grain of salt, and the student to teacher ratio is 20:1. Median household income out there in Mountain Home is about 47 grand, so that's pretty good. You know, there's some good things going on out there. Just not for me. Average unemployment rate out there in Mountain Home is 3.8%, so they're actually bringing the Idaho average down. Good for you, good job. This place sounds like a wonderful place. The name of it sounds good. All these stats I tell you are good. I'll just have to tell you, just go drive out there, see if you like it. Hey, if you like it, we'll hook you up with our brokerage out there and you will get to move to Mountain Home, Idaho. There are people who are moving out there, and one of our largest home builders is starting to buy land out there and build new homes. So it is receiving some love, and it is changing quite a bit. So after going through that totally biased, 100% factual breakdown of the worst 6 cities to live in Idaho, except for the part that's my opinion, which is all of it, I want to know what your opinion is of the worst 6 cities here in Idaho. Give your comments below. Maybe a place did not make the list. Maybe you're wondering why no North Idaho cities made up there. Guys, I don't travel up there that much, so it's a little, a little biased. Maybe you're wondering why Garden City wasn't #1. Maybe you're wondering why, Seatown, Caldwell wasn't. I don't know. Give me your opinion. Let's hear it. After hearing all those, would you consider any of these 6 cities to move to? Do you live in any of these 6 cities and you're offended? Let's hear the people who got offended by my video. I'd love to hear that. Again, if you're looking to move to the Boise Valley, the greatest compliment I receive from doing these videos is the phone call or text or email. You reaching out saying, hey, we don't know where we're at in the process, need some help going to the easy buying process, and I'll put you in that system. Again, it saves you time, saves you money, eliminates all your fears having to move to a new area, eliminates all your fears of overpaying for homes and missing out on homes. We save hours and hours and hours with this process because we do a lot of homework up front. In fact, we don't do a lot of homework, we do about an hour's worth of homework together up front, and it saves us hours and hours of time. If you are moving here, love to help you out. And there is no better compliment that I receive than a phone call or a text or an email from you. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, all that stuff. Again, this is Brian Hymas, Boise Premier Real Estate. If we haven't met each other by now, I love doing what I do. I love making videos and bragging about my city. Hope you enjoy it. There were 167 crime reports. There were 167 in. Wow, could I say it right? All right. You should always take them in consideration because, I'm gonna erase all that. No comment.